Hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. Today, we're going to talk about the Bay Area Community Foundation. We're going to do that with its newly anointed CEO. And we say good morning to Shannon Walraven. Shauna, good morning to you. Whoop, there we go. Just a minute here. All right, buttons. Come on, work. There you go. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Pull that up to you just a little bit.
Sure.
Good deal. All right, so let's start. First of all, when were you appointed CEO of the foundation?
So it's my second full week.
What, your second full week, and they threw you into this fire?
And they threw me in, yes, getting my feet wet right away.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Shauna Walraven story. What's your background?
Sure. So I'm a Bay County native. I say that I'm a Great Lakes Bay boomerang. So I left and did a Midwest tour. I went to DePaul University in Chicago and went to St. Louis University Law School and decided
Did you really?
I did.
I went to Washington University.
Oh,
so.
did you?
Yeah,
We're rivals.
ooh.
Oh, yes. No.
Both lousy sports teams, so what's the difference?
That's true. And then I decided that was way too far from home. It was time to come back to Michigan, and came back and worked in Bay County, and just leaving 11 years at Bay County government.
What were you doing?
So I was assistant corporation counsel, served as civil municipal counsel, and then left to become the appointed county treasurer, ran for election, and then served as the Bay County finance officer.
So the law degree actually paid off.
It did.
But no more.
But no more.
Although there are laws that govern the foundation, so obviously you can deal with it.
A legal education is always helpful in terms of interpreting HR regulations or trust regulations in my new role.
My dad was one, but I never wanted to follow his footsteps. So.
Good call.
A lot of friends that are lawyers, though.
Yes.
All right. So the Community Foundation and the Bay Area Community Foundation been around quite a while. How is it doing in this day and age? Doing
very well, but philanthropy is definitely changing, especially, I would say, in Bay and Aranac counties. So,
how so?
The newer generations don't view philanthropy in the same way. And I think that the connection needs to be made with younger people about how they can be philanthropic. I think philanthropy, even for me growing up, was the thought of donating millions of dollars and buildings named after you. And
well, that's all you hear about.
That's all you hear about are these very grandiose examples of philanthropy. But
and the $100 bill gets lost.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I brought you some cards today, and they talk about philanthropy as things that we can do in our everyday lives. So a small gesture, lending a hand, lending your time, asking deeper questions are all ways that you were made to be philanthropic. So that is our message starting this year. You were made for this. You were made to be philanthropic and help in your community. It's
interesting you say that, because in my career, the early days of my career, when I couldn't afford to, shell out the money, I thought my time had value.
Absolutely.
And I gave my time. I was on all kinds of boards and directors and gave where I could. And I always thought that my father taught me at a very young age that when you live in a community, don't just live in it, be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that to mean do what you can to help the community and your fellow citizens. That's part of philanthropy, isn't it?
Absolutely. Time, talent, treasure, wherever you can contribute. And
the 3 T's.
Absolutely. We're interested in them all. But I think donating your time is the most important, because it really does give you an idea of what you are interested in being philanthropic about. So as you have those opportunities in your life, lean in, engage, and you may find out something that interests you that you didn't know before, or a way that you can be involved.
Looking at these cards, a couple of them, to me, they overlap, if you will. One small act of kindness and lend a helping hand. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, I can see that.
For sure. It's having that philanthropic mindset of what else can I do, or how could I improve my community, or the people I'm with, or the people I'm around today. And I think that thought and that mindset of doing something philanthropic is beneficial for you too. You may be helping someone else, but you're also helping yourself.
What I hear is you're directing the foundation to urge people to contribute, not necessarily money, but the foundation is the gathering place of the coin.
It's true, yes. So we are one of the leading philanthropic organizations in Bay and Aranac County, and we are interested in connecting people who want to give to whatever area it is that they want to give. So whatever it is that you're interested in, helping you make an impact in that area in whatever way that you're interested in doing that. So if you're interested in leaving a legacy and that's important to you, we can help find a way for that to happen. And also our tagline, for good, forever. So endowing funds is also probably the most important part about a community foundation, is that we're building permanency.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have a purpose if it wasn't for that.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is the primary purpose of a foundation, is to build that monetary fund to aid the community.
Yes.
It's like one big endowment fund, if you will,
Sure.
for the community. Although it may have directed targets, but it's still that big endowment fund for the community, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
What drew you to it?
So I've always been interested in philanthropy and have contributed my own time and served on a lot of boards and tried to help in the community as I could, even as a young person in Bay County. And I always understood that I could make an impact in Bay County. I could join these organizations or participate in things that interested me, and I could make a real difference. And so that's what drew me to this job. I heard the first executive director of the Saginaw Community Foundation say that on her business cards she used to have Chief Dreammaker. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? Yes.
She was just in town.
She spoke at the Saginaw County Foundation.
Yeah, I was there.
Yes. Me too.
Yeah.
Great. Yes,
and,
that's wonderful.
I remember Lucy from years and years and years ago. And now we have Renee Johnston, who has been in that role for 20 years now, I think.
Yes.
When Lucy showed up at that, and we were reminded that she left 20 years ago, I went, what happened to the time?
It goes so
Where
fast.
did it go?
Yes.
It's just amazing. You blink and all of a sudden it's gone. So,
absolutely.
Hang on, Shauna. We'll be back talking to Shauna Walraven. She is the new CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. And we will have more on that when we return. But first, hi, we're back with you here on WSGW, talking to Shauna Walraven, the new CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. So how does someone who may have some resources become a philanthropist? Where do they go to learn how to do that? Because for some people, it is a learning curve. Some people have never done it.
For sure. We would encourage any conversations with the Bay Area Community Foundation with anyone who's interested in making an impact in the Bay or Aranac communities. You can call our office. We also host events that you may be interested in joining us. Check out our website, bayfoundation.org, and learn more about us there. We can often help guide people to what it is that they're interested in being philanthropic about. So whether you want to support a school or a scholarship to help an organization that's impacted your life in some way, we can help you guide those decisions.
Some people will say, no, I can't afford thousands of dollars to establish a fund with the Bay Area Community Foundation. Every dollar counts, doesn't it?
Every dollar counts, and there are always ways that people can contribute. A great example is our Give Local Bay Day. It's the first Tuesday in May, where you can see all the different organizations that we support and have endowments for, and people can log on and maximize their donation by donating during the time when there's matching dollars, or donating during a time when they could win a prize that would give the organization of their choice additional funds. So there are always ways to be involved.
And can I contribute to a particular organization? Can I designate how my funds are spent?
Absolutely. And you can designate how your funds are spent. And even if you are interested in making a larger gift or a gift over time, you can set the parameters for how you would like those dollars to be spent. Would you like them to be spent on a particular organization or a certain cause? Those are all conversations that we can have.
And for those that can afford it, in your little booklet here, you show an example of someone establishing a foundational endowment of $10,000.
Sure.
And you'd go on to describe what that generates after the many years that you hold it. So you get that $10,000 gift today. In year 25, $13,500 in cumulative dollars will be granted to communities, and there'll still be a balance of $14,300 from that $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get out to year 50, you're giving some serious money, $33,000 cumulative dollars, and still has a balance of $20,700. These things grow over time, don't they?
Absolutely.
And you use the same principles that any investor uses of compound interest and all of that stuff, right?
Absolutely. And follow an investment policy that's very safe but intended to grow and to be stable over time.
So it would be considered a conservative investment policy.
Absolutely.
You're not taking the heavy risks with
No.
other people's money.
No, we take fiduciary principles very seriously.
Which is, I was going to come up to that next, because in effect you are a fiduciary.
Yes.
Which means you have to take serious the protection of the funds first and foremost.
Absolutely. And also spending to achieve maximum impact. So we want to make sure that our grants are spent in areas that are smart investments with sound organizations and intended to make the impact desired by the donor.
I have to ask this question, Shauna.
Sure.
And you're your second week. You're probably not going to like this question. But, as investors, we're all subject to the whims of the marketplace.
Yes.
And you get something like a pandemic that comes along, or you get a recession, or, markets go down. How does that impact the foundation? I have to believe it impacts your investments like everybody else, but do you have some protection on your investments?
Sure. So the exposure is not as great as you may be exposed to in your own personal retirement accounts or as such, because we're not investing for maximum growth. We're investing for safety and for slight growth. So I don't think the foundation, and historically we have not suffered the impact that you may be used to during those times.
From that, can I deduce, it might be bad, but can I deduce that you might use more insurance products than some folks might use?
Yes, I would say that it's actually I'd liken it to maybe a retiree healthcare fund, something that is intended to ensure that the corpus of the funds stay intact and to achieve some growth opportunities where they exist, but not to maximize that growth as you might try to.
Safety is important, isn't it? Really,
Safety is very important.
The foundation is charged with protecting this money.
Sure, and we use a wide variety of investors and investment companies, and also committees. We have a lot of committees made up of community members who give input and truly make the decisions about.
I was going to ask, how do you select who gets the funds?
So there's a competitive grant process, and there's a community panel made up of a few board members from the foundation, but also a wide variety of community members who serve on the grants committee and review all of the grants and review all of the due diligence, and it's a super fun committee to serve on. So if you ever get the chance, I encourage you to take it and review all the grant applications, and you can see what things are happening in the community, what needs they're trying to address in the community, and then the committee selects and makes a recommendation to the board of directors.
Now, does the foundation send out RFPs to organizations, or do they have to just come to you on their own?
No, twice a year we open a grant cycle, and so we try to make sure that everyone's aware of our grant cycle and that organizations can apply during that time.
And how long from the time they apply till the time you say, okay, we're going to give you X dollars?
Sure, about 8 weeks. It is a lengthy process.
It's not that long, though.
It's not too long, but it's a very thorough and rigorous process. And We have a meeting tomorrow, so all of my committee members have been in touch. I'm working on reviewing my grants. So.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Good thing.
Yes.
So is there is there a known cap as to how much you will give an organization?
No. Generally, it's based on community need and the fund spendable amount in that year. So, but there are larger grants, community initiative grants and such. But it's really up to the committee if they want to spread those funds out over multiple organizations. If they feel strongly that there's one project that Bay and Aranac should be focusing on, they can focus there as well.
And this is, you keep referring to Bay and Aranac. We should point out almost every county has a community foundation, but in some cases they are merged, as is the case in Bay and Aranac.
Yes. So
do you have separate team members looking at the Aranac foundations?
We have Aranac Community Funds. Bay Area Community Foundation actually holds the Aranac Community Funds, and they are a separate board and a separate committee. Right. And they are very dedicated and wonderful volunteers who know their area and know the players in the Aranac space. And
I asked that for a reason, because a donor in Bay wants to know their money's going to be used in Bay,
yes,
and not move over to Aranac and vice versa.
Yes. And they do watch those things very closely and make sure that the funds are spent in their areas, and it really do impact their communities. So it's nice to have these committees of people who know what's happening in the day-to-day areas and what needs they're addressing.
Is there a post-grant review? And by that I mean an organization applies for X number of dollars grant, you give them the grant. Do you follow up to see that it's spent the way it was supposed to be spent?
We do. We have grant reporting processes that we require grantees to follow and to report back to us, which we think is an important component for both our donors and for the committee members to make sure that funds are being spent the way that they were intended to be.
Goes back to that fiduciary responsibility, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Which you legal meagles would know about. Hold on, and we'll be back. We're talking to Shauna Walraven. She is the newly appointed CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. Back with more.
Better access GW in the Stormmaster Exterior Studios. You can also listen to WSGW online thanks to Stormmaster Exteriors.
All right, we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Shauna Walraven, the new CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. Hopefully it's painless, you know. So if I were to say to you, Shauna, tell us the mission of a community foundation, what would you say?
The mission. So it would be to connect givers to what they would like to give to. So truly to look at as the foundation as a convener. So also in just connecting people to be philanthropic to the organization that they're interested in being philanthropic to, we also bring all of those organizations together to identify any duplications of efforts or any targets that the foundation could help all of those groups meet, and to really focus on those priority areas.
If someone comes to you and wants to donate to an organization not on your list, can they do that?
Yes, I don't think there are any organizations that we would say are not on our list. While we might not currently have an endowment for them, we would definitely be interested in exploring how we could do that.
The other thing, too, is there's a lot of organizations that want to do well and have good intentions. Maybe they don't have that 501c3 yet. Mm-hmm. Can they come under your 501c3 as an organization as long as you control the funds, so to speak?
We have been able to help in some situations with instances like that. Our role would probably be more to help them have those things in place for them to achieve it themselves. We've been working on doing some capacity building for nonprofit organizations to help them understand what their responsibilities are and what the roles are that they need to be playing in the community. reporting requirements, just general good internal controls, general practices like that. So
you help organizations do that?
We
You
do
help
that.
them?
Yes, we have. We host.
Do you point them in the right direction for getting a 501c3? Because that can be a process and a half.
Sure, right. We can't walk you through the process, but we can definitely
But
help
wait,
you.
you're a legal mind.
I do not provide legal advice.
that left when you entered the door.
Yes. Yes.
But it is a cumbersome process.
It is a cumbersome process. It can be. There's also an easy form, so it depends really on the assets of the organization and the goal of the organization.
So if we look at the community foundation in the community, obviously it plays a role in contributing funds to organizations, to granting funds to organizations. Does it play another role? Are there any other roles for the community foundation, or is it all money-centric?
While money is an important part in all aspects of the community, but no, there's definitely other important benefits, and truly convening people, being the hub and helping the spokes meet each other, right? So allowing people to come together and to be aware of all of the opportunities in the community and to be aware of what's happening.
And how is the community foundation itself funded?
The community foundation is funded from, the operations are funded through an endowment as well.
So if I give to you and say, okay, I want my funds to go to XYZ organization.
Sure.
Am I to believe then that 100% of my funds are going to go to the organization?
Yes.
Wow.
There is some funds have an administrative fee that is charged on them that goes to the Friends of the Foundation fund. But if you are coming to us to give to a designated fund that exists, those funds will go to that organization.
And what are the Friends of the Foundation?
So
I haven't heard that term
Friends of the
before.
Foundation is meant to address the community's most pressing need at the time that it exists. So we can't anticipate all the ways that we need to be helpful in the community. So we have created the Friends of the Foundation Fund, which
Like a set-aside?
set aside. It's more of an unrestricted fund that can be used to address whatever need arises at the time in the community. So there sometimes isn't time. Pandemic is a great example. There isn't time to fundraise and create an endowment to address those specific concerns. So this gives us maximum flexibility to address those
Someone
concerns.
contributing to that, though, will contribute in a way that's unrestricted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, take a last break here and come back with one final segment as we talk to Shauna Walraven from the Bay Area. Oh, goes move you to a different county. Sorry, Renee. The Bay Area Community Foundation.
Join us Friday, October 18th.
And we are back with you here on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Shauna Walraven. Shauna is the new CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. And knowing the folks that run it, I'm sure you found the foundation in good shape.
Absolutely.
But is there anything in the Walraven plans for the future that might change the foundation at all?
Sure. So it is only my second week, but definitely in my
but you're here.
in my goals, it's permanency, really. So I think being for good forever, that's something I'm taking on as my personal motto. I'm interested in a long career at the Community Foundation, and I'm hoping that long-term leadership will yield results for the foundation.
And the foundation, I mean, really, the foundation has to think that way, doesn't it? Because the money you have today, you want to be there tomorrow, only in greater numbers.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Right. And for the community as long as possible. So I think the best thing about Bay County is we take care of each other. And I think that's really a way that we can do that and ensure that spirit lives on in Bay County.
Your advantage, too, is you're a Bay County survivor, right? Whatever
Boomerang,
you want to call
yes.
it, boomerang. Well, we all boomerang a little bit. I mean, I left New York City to go to college and come back, and here I am today. But I think it helps to have an understanding of the community that you're serving.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
And by living in it, and being part of it, you have a better understanding of what it needs, and particularly for you because you worked for county government.
Yep. And
as
I'm
to-
raising my kids here, and I love Bay County. We have so many assets.
So I ask this of Jim Barshaw all the time. I might as well ask you, Madam Former Treasurer, what kind of shape's Bay County in?
Bay County is in actually excellent fiscal shape. Survived the pandemic quite well, and is doing very well. The trouble spots are talent.
We're going to get there.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask about staffing at the foundation. How are you doing in attracting kinds of folks you want to do what you need done?
Sure. So we have had a couple of departures. The job market is in an interesting place right now. There are lots of opportunities for people to make a little more money doing different things, or there's opportunities just to change careers right now. So we are revamping some staffing, but we are in an excellent position. And the nice part about nonprofit work is the people who are attracted to it really have a heart for the community.
You know, I will tell you they have to be, because you're not going to get rich in the nonprofit world.
Unfortunately not. Well, we would love to pay everyone
Big
salaries.
money, but that
yes.
would not. It would be incompatible with being a fiduciary.
Absolutely.
Let's put it that way. I think that would be a fair assumption, wouldn't
Very fair assumption. So it attracts the right kind of person who's willing to, dig deep and do the things to make the community better.
it? Do you have openings now?
We will have openings
We'll have
soon. Yes.
And if somebody is interested, where
Watch
would they go?
Watch our website and our social media pages. We will be posting soon.
You use social media a lot?
We do use social media a lot.
What has it done for you? Because I have mixed feelings on social media.
Of course, yes, and I can understand that. But really, we want to meet people where they are. So if they are on social media, we want to make sure that they're seeing our message and seeing the good stories that we do, especially in a time when it's hard to get information to people. It's hard to let them know about all of the good work that we're doing. And while we do mail a newsletter, that's also an expensive endeavor. And so we try to meet people where we can and use social media as much as possible.
Before we went on the air, you mentioned 2 letters that you had found out more about, AI.
Yes.
How is that going to play into a foundation, for example?
Sure. So I recently attended the Council on Michigan Foundations conference on my very first day, actually.
You really got thrown into the fire, didn't you?
And there was a session on AI, and I have had some block about artificial intelligence. And
You're not alone.
and it's an intellectual integrity. There's something about it that, frankly, there's some fear. And
Exactly.
And it's interesting. I had a donor meeting with a donor who is older, who was talking about how he has used AI in his own life, and even just joking ways and writing thank you letters and in different versions of, you can tell AI all kinds of things. But the takeaway from the session was that your employees are going to be using it. And so you need to get a handle on data use and AI policies right away. But it was very interesting how much it can generate for you just in the sort of things that would take me hours to generate. It can generate in seconds. It's amazing.
There's 2 sides to the coin. The way I see AI, how I can use it to benefit me in a time release, if you will, to let me free up to do other things. But there's the side of it that AI coming at me, and I don't know the validity. I can't trace the background. That's the part that worries me.
It also worries me having a 12-year-old son. So
Bingo.
I know what questions to ask. I know how to edit this information, but I'm in a much different place. And would I still have the intellectual curiosity or the intellectual ability to modify these things if I'm sort of growing up in this AI world? So definitely interesting, and definitely interesting from an employment perspective as well.
It's going to be interesting for a lawyer, too, I have to feel.
Yes. That's, I think, the copyright, the credit, and also just the intellectual purity of AI
Well,
information.
that's the big part that worries me.
Of For sure.
the intellectual, because you really don't know. Well, it's the same thing with social media. I mean, there's so much anonymity. You don't know who's presenting the information and what their axe is to grind, so to speak.
Of course.
Shauna, this has been a pleasure.
Yes.
And I wish you very well in your endeavors with the Bay Area Community Foundation. And after you get your feet wet a little more, we'll do this again down the road.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Shauna Walraven, she is the CEO of the Bay Aranac Community Foundation. It's the Bay Area Community Foundation, but it serves Bay and Aranac. We'll be back to close out.
A 401k can be an important
Our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with lots more. Focus coming up next hour. We're going to focus on the Winnegar Fire Protection Company. That's coming up after the news from CBS. The Nation and the World will be featured. Michael Perch is in the WSGW newsroom to bring you up to date on the region and the state. I'm Art Lewis. We'll be back right after the news with Focus.
Broadcasting from the